Hi my stitchy friends, welcome back to my channel. My name is Barb. This is my cross stitch and quilting channel. It is Friday, February 28th, the last day of February. I hope you're all doing well. It's a bit chilly here. I am welcoming you again into my sunroom, and today it's more like just daylight room. There really isn't any sun. It's very overcast here, but that's okay. This morning when I went outside to take the dogs out, there was a male cardinal and he was singing the song of his people. Now, I'm not a fan of birds. I've already mentioned that, but I love seeing and hearing the cardinals in my neighborhood. And this particular one, he's around a lot. His female companion comes around every once in a while too. So again, let me welcome you back. I am hoping that you're here because you are a subscriber. And if you're not, I would truly appreciate if you do click the subscribe button. I would also love it if you would click the like button for my video, as well as maybe leave me a comment. I would love to chat with you. I am all about chit-chatting and learning from others and just having new friends. So again, you're very welcome here. And I hope that during the next hour, even though I say I want to do a half hour, it generally ends up being an hour. I'm hoping that you'll stick with me and just sit back and listen to what I have to say. Every once in a while, kind of look over and see maybe what I'm showing you. So let me get started. Now I am trying very hard to follow a format. If you've watched any of my previous 9 videos, you see I jump all over the place. And that's my life. I am quick to move from one task to another. I can be so super hyper fixated on something. Hours can go by and I won't realize it, or I will be in the middle of stitching something or quilting something or whatever, and I'll be, I want to work on that. Oh, I see that over there. It's been that way forever. But I am trying to follow a format. But if you saw my notes here, they're definitely not in order. They're all over the place with little things written sideways and straight up and down and everything else. So let me just take a peek here and see what I'm going to try to do today. So let me start with this. I have a question for you. How do you pick your whips? How do you pick what it is that you want to stitch at that particular session? Now, I have watched a lot of Flosstube, and I love listening to other people's ideas and maybe thinking, ooh, that's a good one, or that's not going to work for me. One of the things that a lot of people do is whip go. And I did try that a few years ago, and honestly, I didn't even make it past the first month. My biggest hurdle was trying to pull just the whips that I wanted to put on my board. I couldn't make a decision. I didn't want that commitment for that year. I felt that if I couldn't work on that project, it was going to be a failure to me. And I know that that's not the way that whip go works. It's like Missy says, it's your board, right? Do what you want. So I know people do whip go. I know people have like a Sabbath stitch that they stitch certain samplers or whatever on Sunday. I know that in the homespun group that I belong to, that Julie Krasavi runs, which is, I got something to tell you about that too. 2 things actually. I know that they were doing a December or a 25th of the month stitch. So just to get a good jump on your Christmas stitching, they were doing a 25th of the month stitch. Well, I was going to do it, and I forgot. I didn't realize it was the 25th. I knew, but I didn't know, right? So my question again is, how do you pick what whip you're going to work on? I know that like Karen, Recovering Monogamous, she takes her oldest whip and she devotes, I believe, 7 days out of the month to it. And however it falls in her calendar, she makes sure she gets the 7 days. And I know there's a lot of people that do that. And when I started using my book of days a few years ago, I did the same. I tried to plan in advance what it is that I would want to stitch on, but it didn't work for me. So I have gotten to the point that I base my whips, what I want to stitch on, around the floss tubes I'm going to watch. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, when Carol Saltbox recently posted her Blackbird Palooza, there was no way that I was going to be able to focus on an intricate piece while watching Carol. So I picked something that was somewhat easy to stitch on, something that didn't require a lot of attention, maybe just a fill-in, right? If I know that I have an hour, like yesterday, the Primrose ladies posted their video. I didn't watch it live. I generally watch in the evenings if I'm not working. Now, I knew that their video was going to be over an hour, so the piece that I looked for, sorry, my neighbors are walking their dogs, which means my dogs might start barking. If they do, then I'll put us on pause. So the piece that I was looking to work on was my St. Patrick's Day piece, which I have multiple stories to tell you about with that. So I was working on that stitch, and then when Primrose was done, I watched Lindy Stitches, and I believe it might have been part 7 of her Nashville release extravaganza that she's putting on. So I was still working on my St. Patrick's piece. And then after that, I thought, okay, I want to stitch, I want to watch another hour-long Flosstube. I had a lot of time last night to watch Flosstube. It was great. I think I did like 5 or 6 hours of stitching last night. It was phenomenal. Loved it. But as I was going through my feed to see who I wanted to watch next, there was a video that popped up, and darn it, if I did not write down the name of it, and I said I was going to. I will put that in my notes. There was a documentary on the state facility in Indiana that had opened back in the late 1800s for the individuals at that time that they called imbeciles, morons, retards, right? We have completely changed our thought pattern and verbalization of those terms currently, right? But this documentary walked through how the state institution was developed and all of what it went through up until its closure in, I want to say, the early 2000s. It was so interesting, and it was 2 hours long. So during that time, I worked on a Quaker, which might or might not have been a good thing. But as far as that documentary, my aunt Jackie, rest her soul, used to work with the developmentally disabled here in our area, and she used to take her patients, no, they were not inmates. What were they called? Individuals. Let's just use that term, okay? She would take her friends out. She would take them to ball games, the Bison's games. She would take them out to dinner for fish fries. She would take them shopping, and she would do this as a group. And she loved it. She did this for years, and she had to stop when her eyesight started failing, and she was getting a little older and driving was difficult. But this particular video also talked about how people, like for individuals that live in group homes and stuff, how we are trying, and we are doing a very good job of integrating them into our society. Now, I have not had anybody in my family that was special needs or is special needs or required anything like that. It was such a good documentary. I will link it below. If you find the need to watch it, I would suggest it. But I watched that in place of another Flosstube, which was fine. My point I'm making is I choose my whips as to the Flosstubes that I'm watching. If it's something that I really need to pay attention to, Flosstube-wise, I will pick a whip that's not that difficult to stitch. I'm not going to stitch on something 36 count where I need to wear 2 pair of glasses and have my light hanging over me, right? If it's something that I can just sit and listen to, I can take that time and focus. So I'm really just interested in how you pick your whips when you sit down to stitch. Do you use your book of days? Do you write down exactly what it is that you want to stitch that week? Do you look ahead to the amount of time that you have and try to break it up that way? Do you stitch in the morning? Do you stitch at night? Do you choose because of the time of day in which you're stitching? I would really love to know, because it is just all over the place within our community, which I think is great. I think we can all find something that we resonate with. So that was my question. So now let me talk to you about my whips. I really have only touched 2 since my last video. 2 that I actually have somewhat of a progress on. Now, I mentioned a few videos back that I had stopped at Hobby Lobby, and I picked up this St. Patrick's Day piece. Very inexpensive. I'm sure it was on sale, because I generally don't pay full price for anything at Hobby Lobby unless it's an absolute necessity and I have to have it in my hands that day. But the problem that I ran into with this, I thought, you know what, I'm just going to buy a small St. Patrick, just a small stitch. So I looked at the size on the back, and the size on the tag says 5.5 by 4.2 inches. I said, okay. So I went ahead and I pulled up this stitch, and of course, I have it in Pattern Keeper, so now I can't even remember who it is. Oh, that's horrible. I will put the information in the box below for this stitch. So I bought the stitch, and I started it the first time. And this looks to be 18 count Aida. And this is where I got. Now I'm stitching, I started this stitching 1 thread over 1/1. And then I looked at it and I said, this doesn't seem right. So I measured it with a ruler according to the measurements on the block. It's supposed to fit. My thought was to have it go from edge to edge. Well, as you can see, edge to edge, it's already falling off. Why? Because the size listed on the block is not the size of the block. I don't know what they were measuring, but it's not. I said, okay, not a problem. Let me find something else. So I'm keeping the same stitch. So I started this once, as I said, made mistakes, picked it out, restarted it. Then I realized that the size wasn't going to fit. I said, I'm not picking that out again. So I cut a new piece of Aida. And the other thing that I didn't like was I used a lighter color Aida, and then against the white, I didn't like it. It clashes because the Aida is ivory and the block is white. I said, I don't like that. Digging out some more Aida. Found some that I coffee dyed. Again, still 18 count. I said, all right, I'm going to make this work. Because I coffee dyed it, it shrunk it down a little bit. Okay, all right. So how am I going to finish it? I am literally going to go edge to edge, literally edge to edge, and just fray my edge. So it's going to be on the block like this. Okay. So I started stitching. Okay, I'm stitching 1 thread over 1. Okay. I come to the wee folk. Counting is hard. I made an error. I made an error on the W. Made it too long. No big deal. I'll have space. Just make the other letters, right? Then I'm going along, and I'm realizing that I made another counting error because counting is hard. No problem, Barb. No problem. You forgot that your W was too big. You started these other ones in the wrong spot. It doesn't matter. It's not supposed to be, the pattern is not supposed to be even across the bottom. No big deal. Okay? I was stitching the letters in 2 threads because I wanted it to pop out. Okay. Got the wee folk done. I'm fine. I start to stitch the welcome. Counting is hard. I made a mistake in the first E. Then I'm thinking, well, I can't go all the way to the other E and add the extra stitch. You're definitely going to see the size difference. So I made the second E smaller. I was like, okay, you know what? I got a little space at the end. I'm going to put a little exclamation point. Okay. All right. So I'm stitching the lettering with 2 strands over 2 because, you know, I want it to pop a little bit. And then I said to myself, oh, I got a little bit of that Kelly green left. Let me go up and fill in the top. It's supposed to be 1 thread. I used 2. I'm telling you, why? Why? Why do we make so many mistakes on our smalls? I don't understand it. I am not unpicking. This is a holiday decoration. It's going to be out a month out of the year. I'm going to go for it. So I am the next bit that needs to be done will be the little bit of black up and down again, and then there's some other stuff at the bottom, and I don't even know. But I'm telling you, the wee folk are not helping. They're not bringing me luck. They're not bringing me luck with this. So this was something that I have been working on, that I have started over a few times, and I'm dealing with it. Okay, so my next stitch or whip that I've been working on is that yellow and the green and orange Quaker that I've talked about. Now, I had mentioned that I was given this Ada, and it's an opalescent Ada. It's got the little bit of sparkly to it. And the floss I was given in an exchange from the Across the Pond group. We had done like a holiday, Christmas, whatever they called it, exchange. And my lovely lady that had my name sent this to me. Now, I've shown this before, and it's called Moe's Sale, and this is the floss, and the way that it's dyed, like I've mentioned before, I'm thinking that maybe it was, you know, like with the orange and the green, like one end was dipped and then they flipped and they dipped the other end. I don't know. I'm only guessing. I'm not a floss dyer. I don't do that. But what I'm finding with this is that it frays easily. Now that could also be because I am using very long lengths. And last night I got so frustrated with myself for doing that I started cutting the length shorter. But I still noticed, and I'm wondering if it's because of pulling the threads through this opalescent fabric. Maybe the little bits of glittery kind of stuff might be rough on the threads. I don't know. Just guessing. One thing that I recognized last night, maybe you all have realized this, but it just dawned on me yesterday, that Quakers are done in odd numbers. Like the design itself is not like 10 stitches wide. It could be 11 or 13 or 15. And the reason, my take on this, is there has to be a center. So I found that quite interesting last night. Now, the other problem with a Quaker is when you make a mistake, it's very evident. It's very obvious. And of course, counting is hard. And yeah, I have made a mistake in my center medallion, and I'm leaving it because this piece will be up in my bathroom. So, I mean, if you look closely, you'll see it. But I'm not picking it out. Basically because I have unpicked too many times on this. I just, thank you, Jean. I'm moving forward, right? Definitely. We're just going to continue to move forward. So, I did work, what I'm trying to do with this thread now, as I said, I do normally use very long lengths. I don't like to rethread my needles. So this piece that I've already worked on here, which is already doubled, I've already used a good portion of. So, you know, that could be another reason why my thread is fraying, because I'm pulling it through the fabric too often. So I'm trying, at least with this. So what I am trying to do with this thread, because you can see, as I showed you, the way that it is variegated. Like right now, I've got orange thread here. Let me move my bag over here so I can show you. I have orange thread that I'm working with right now. So as I'm moving through my design, I want to try to take my orange thread and move it more toward the green. So I'm doing quite a bit of starting and stopping so that I can make sure that the colors are really moving about in this design. I've shown that I got the design from this book, and this is a really good book. I did pick it up on Amazon. Quaker Samplers. I did have it linked in my last video, but it has a lot of designs in here, and some of the charts are actually done in color, but some of the pictures, let me show you a picture like this here. So they do show the charts done in color as well. But again, this is the one that I'm working on. It is sampler number 1. It's the first one in the book. And it is coming out nicely. And honestly, tonight when I sit down, I'm going to probably look at a dozen of these Quakers and count to see if they are all odd numbers, because that's interesting to me. And I guess that would have to be that way if there has to be a center, right? There has to be an odd number so you can always have a center. So I kind of like numbers. Not to get off topic, but I'm pretty proud of myself that I did the New York Times Sudoku puzzle yesterday, all three levels in one day. Easy, medium, and hard. Yep, I did. So those are basically the 2 whips that I have worked on this week. And I chose which ones I wanted to work on. Now, I worked on both of these last night on the St. Patrick's piece and the Quaker, and just varied it by what I was watching on Flosstube. I was able to focus somewhat well. I only had to pick out a couple of stitches on the Quaker while I was watching that documentary. So I spent a good 2 hours watching that documentary last night, and I did get a good piece, or good chunk of this. This is the area that I worked on last night, right here, and this piece. I got this piece in. So, you know, you think, wow, 2 hours, that's all you did? Well, you know, counting. So something that I made this week, I have decided, I have wanted to do these for quite some time, and finally I just said, you know what, I'm just going to get them made. They can't take that long. Lori Holt uses them, and she does have a tutorial, and if I can find a link for the tutorial on YouTube of her in her area, I will link that too. It's the design boards. Now, you would think that this is a no-brainer. And it really was easy to make. It was time-consuming, though, because I can't just make 1 or 2. No, I had to buy a dozen of these poster boards, foam core board off of Amazon. And I said, well, if I'm going to do one, I may as well do them all, because I know myself, if I don't do them all to begin with, I'm not going to do them. Right? They're going to sit there and go into the unfinished project pile. So I took some fabric that I had. Surprise, surprise. Really cute fabric. I don't know if you can actually see the design on there. They're butterflies. So what you do is I cut it into, I don't remember now if it was 2-inch or 2.5-inch wide. I think it was 2.5-inch wide strips. And then you're basically making bias tape. And this is what I said to myself after I finished like 3 of these. I should have just used bias tape. I should have used double fold bias tape. So the process, I took my spray adhesive and I spritzed it on the board. And then I used just, I have so many pieces of leftover batting. So I have some that's 80-20. I have some that's 100% cotton. I have some that's natural, and I have some that are white. It didn't matter to me because it's really just something to make it adhere, right? And then I used the glue gun to glue this on, and I didn't burn my fingers, which I'm very surprised at, but it was time consuming. I thought that I would be able to get them done in a couple hours. It literally took me almost all day. And that's okay, because now I have a dozen design boards. And not only will I use them here, I primarily will use them down in the quilt studio for quilt blocks. If you've watched Lori Holt and you see how she does her quilting, she will use design boards as she's going to piece her blocks. She can lay out all the pieces. Kimberly Jolly does the same thing too. She will lay out all the pieces for one block on the board to make it easier so the pieces don't move around or get lost. Okay, so I did make those. Let me just double check my list. Like I said, I'm really trying to adhere to my list to see where I'm at and what I need to talk to you about. So I was going to make, I did start and I didn't finish them. I'm not going to finish them. Out of that Quaker sampler book, I was going to make smalls for the upcoming retreat, the Plum Street and Heartstrings Samplery retreat that I'll be going to at the end of April, which is being hosted by Hobby House Needleworks. I did post a link in my last video. I'll post one again. I'm pretty sure that they are at capacity with a waiting list, because when I got my email the other day to finish paying my balance, it did say, please get your remittance in quickly. There's a long wait list. So if you can't go, to let them know. But I'm super excited for that. Oh my gosh. So I would like to take some table gifts, and I was going to make like little Quaker pin cushion type things. And I started one, and I looked at the size of it and I said, I'm not liking that. So that was the other whip that I started, but I'm not even going to finish anything with it. I might just, I don't know, cut it and put it on the front of a project bag. I did make a project bag this week too for a friend of mine. So that's it as far as my whips. Now, who did I watch? And I really tried to keep a good list of this, because if you are in the needlework, homespun needlework group on Facebook that Julie runs, she posted the other day, and I am so grateful she did this. She posted that if you have a floss tube, to pop in your link. I said, I have one. So I popped in my link. And what I've been doing, and I'm trying to keep up with this, I've been going back every day just to make sure. Everybody that had popped a link in that I haven't been subscribed to, I went back and subscribed to them. Obviously, I haven't watched them all. There is well over 120 some odd links on there. But I wanted to make sure that I go and I subscribe to everybody that has posted a link, because I know at one point or another, I will have the time to sit and just watch somebody new. I enjoy that because I have learned quite a few little tips and tricks, and I'm also feeling like I am building my community. I do not have a local stitch group in which I belong. I do have a good friend that, we're texting pretty regularly about our stitches and things like that. We don't get together to stitch. We are planning on it. And she is a hop, skip, and a jump from me. She's not that far away, but life, right? So, my cat's running around here doing some crazy things. So I'm feeling like I have more friends, and I'm always up for watching new Flosstubes. So I've gone back into this group, and I am trying to like and subscribe to everybody that's in there if I already don't subscribe. So if you are not a member of the Homespun Needlework group on Facebook, look it up. You have to answer some questions to join. And this is also the group that posts all of those exclusives, the exclusive stitches that come out. So I'm guessing a good portion of you might already be subscribed. But if you're not, you need to go check it out. So in that grouping, I started watching a few new people. Jess, the librarian stitcher lady, I really enjoyed her video. I watched the whole way through. I enjoyed that. So-and-so's with Cathy. Now, I've heard of her, but apparently this is the first time she's posted again in a while. Well, let me tell you, she enabled me. I stopped probably 3 times to order things, right? Now, the first thing that I ordered, I have never seen this, and I have been a seamstress for 40 some years, right? And I have Singer machines and I have other machines, but I have never seen this. Now, this is called a puzzle box. It is so cool. It's dated 1880 something. All right. Now, Cathy showed hers that she had gone to retreat, and they took this box. Look at how this opens. Isn't this the neatest thing, right? So they took this box and they mounted, probably with some foam board, I would suspect, fabrics in here, and, you know, like made a little pocket for maybe your little fob, a little thingy with a magnet for your scissors. I paused her video, went on eBay, and started hunting these down. And I put in bids for 2, unbeknownst to me that once you bid, you can't retract your bid unless you contact the seller. I was like, I don't need 2. Luckily, I got outbid. So I put in 2 bids, and I thought, you know, with the shipping and everything, honestly, to be honest, I wasn't going to spend more than $30, including shipping. Now, this one, I think I won the bid at like 16 something, and then the shipping was almost $9. But some of the boxes that were shown still had the Singer accessories in them. I didn't need those. Okay. So this one, you can tell that there was some velvety fabrics in here, which have been taken out. But I have never seen this, and it just folds up like a puzzle. I was just blown away. Blown away. So thank you, Cathy, because you enabled me for this. She also enabled me on a chart or 2 that I said, how did I not have that? How did I not have that? One of them, and I'm guessing it might have been hers, or it might have been Christy Crosshatch Quilts, because I do watch Christy. Keeper of the Pins by Brenda Gervais. How did I not have that? I don't know. So I did order that. I have my pre-orders in for market from Hobby House. So I just added that and put a little note on my purchase. I'll be in April. I'm picking everything up in April. I don't know how big of a pile I'm going to have when I get there. I'm probably going to have to hold back a little bit. I wasn't able to get the 36 count Vintage Country Mocha. I believe I ended up getting that from 123 Stitch, which was fine. Doesn't matter. I know the pattern is sitting waiting for me in Rochester, which Hobby House is about an hour, 20 minutes from me. So I'm okay with that. So I watched Stitch Roadie, Christy Crosshatch Quilts. I watched Primrose. Those are people that I normally watch. But the 2 new for sure was Jess the Librarian Stitcher Lady and so-and-so's Cathy. And I know, honestly, there were a couple of more that I started and I didn't write it down because I got sidetracked. So I'm not going to write it down until I can watch the whole video. but I will put the links for these people in my in the description box, because I did learn on my last video how to do it. So progress is slow, but progress is still progress. Okay. Now, what else? Ooh, let me talk about my personal presents, because, well, you know, we all need personal presents. Other than my puzzle box, that's really the only cross-stitch piece, related piece, that I did purchase that arrived so far. I do have a few quilt things. I'm going to show them now. I'm not going to go into detail with them, but because I'm talking about personal presents, they're my personal presents. I've mentioned numerous times how Kim Deal is my favorite fabric designer. Now, her fabrics are also very good for finishes, especially if you are more of the browns and the not country colors, but like vintage colors, things like that. Just autumn colors, fall for here. So this is called the Scrap Basket Favorites, and it is a fat quarter bundle. So it does have a lot of her colors in here. And I do have some of these pieces already, but I don't turn down Kim Deal fabric, unfortunately. I probably should. Lent is coming. Maybe I'll give it up for Lent. Who am I kidding? Right. The other, one of the other videos I watched, quilting videos, was Cory Yoder. Now, Cory Yoder is a beautiful designer. She's got great quilts. They're pretty easy to do. She's actually running a free quilt along right now. Just look up, you know, Cory Yoder. I did pick up this pattern. Now, she showed this in her last video, but she showed it in a different colorway, and I was just smitten. Now, this is it's not difficult. I would honestly rate this as a confident beginner. A confident beginner could do this quilt. It would take some time, and even though, you know, you're working with Dresdens, they're not that difficult to do. It's time consuming, but this is a really, really pretty looking quilt. I would definitely do it in different colors. I don't know what line she used of her fabrics here. Strawberry Jam. But, you know, obviously just because it's her quilt pattern doesn't mean you have to purchase or use those particular fabrics unless those are the ones that you really want to use. Now, the other book that I bought from her, because again, she was showing some of the quilts from it, it's called Oh Happy Day. And when I opened it, she signed it. Yeah. Holding things is hard. See? Cory Yoder. I'm excited for that. But there's a lot of really pretty quilts in here. And honestly, the reason I bought this book was for this pattern here. It's called Ohio Girl. And she had, I believe she had it shown in another colorway. Somebody else had sent her pictures of it. But they're so very pretty. Like this one here, it's called Proposal. Look at how pretty this quilt is. Now, I showed you a quilt in my last video that I had done a pattern testing for a designer, and it had snowballed corners. That last pattern I showed you has a lot of snowballed corners too. So, you know, if you're not into snowballing corners with your quilts, you might want to look at a different pattern. But it's beautiful. Absolutely love it. So that's really all of my personal presents, other than the orders that I've placed for market. And I think I've only ordered through Hobby House because I know I'm going to be going there in April. No, I haven't really purchased anything else because, like I said, I know with going to retreat in April, I know that I'm going to be stocking up on some fabric. And I also said the last time that I want to pull probably a half dozen or a dozen of my patterns that I have kitted with the floss. I want to take those down and find some fabrics to get those into the up and coming, you know, starts, right? So, what else do I have to show you? Well, I've been going through things and trying to get rid of some things. I actually just sold a table on Marketplace today, an antique table that I've had for a long, long time. It was my mother's, came to me, and she needed to go to a new home. And I'm very happy that the lady that purchased her is going to be putting her to good use. So I'm trying to go through things and just declutter, right? I don't know, we just collect so much stuff. I'm sitting here in my sunroom looking around, and just like I said to this lady today, every single wall in my home has a piece of furniture on it, everything. And there's no place anymore. And so I'm just really trying to go through and let things go. So I found a couple of bins downstairs that I honestly don't even remember when I put the stuff into them. I opened the boxes, opened the bins, and I said, well, no, I haven't seen you in quite a few years. So here's a few more things that I found. I made this in 1991. Ooh, let me use my design board. Hang on. There we go. Now, it was in a little frame. Oh, a circle, right? A circle frame with ribbon around the frame. The country blue ribbon with the dots. Okay, so I took it out. Now you can see, and I've washed this once, but you can definitely see the discoloring here, right? So I think what I'm going to do with this, I'm going to turn this into a round, and I'm going to applique it to the front of a cross stitch bag, because I mean it's still shaped like a round, and I don't have a problem adding binding in a circular manner, right? I can do that very easily. I would do a very tiny binding. I might even, instead of making binding, just look and see if I have any bias tape, like 1/4 inch, something tiny like that, just to seal off the edges, because this was taped. This was taped into the frame. So I found that piece. 1990. I made this the year my youngest was born. Hung in the baby's room. Then I found this. I have no idea when I did this. This actually sits, it fell out of the frame. I'm going to put it back into the frame. This. Now, I can also see, I'm going to pop it out because it literally, I did not even have it in there securely. But I don't know if it's going to slide down. You can see the discoloration. Is it going to slide? Maybe not. You can see the discoloration in the spots of the Ada. I was actually contemplating getting that antique spray that people have used to, spritz. I know Kimberly showed it on Fat Quarter Shop probably a good year ago. But the problem was that when you spritzed it and it came out, to begin with, it had bigger droplets. So it's almost like you have to spritz it off to the side and then spritz it on. Or I just might leave this, or because I have this is, I don't even know if this is a sticky back mounting board. This might even be a sticky back mounting board. It is on there. Yeah, this was a sticky back mounting board. I might even just take it off of there and put it in some coffee and just dye the whole thing, because it's an Amish colors. So it would work very well like that. And then the last one, oh my God, I did this because of my kids. This was a kit. Thou shalt not whine. This was a kit. Oh my God, people, look what I did. It's hot glued in. You see the hot glue? What were we thinking back in the 90s? Oh, sweetness. So I'm going to try to get it out of this frame. And again, maybe just dump it in some tea or coffee because it's dirty to begin with. It's not going to come white anymore. So I think I might just do that. This I stitched in 1991. My only fear is that maybe the pink in the center of the roses might run a little bit. But in all honesty, I did wash, like I said, I did wash this bear. And that heart in the center is red. And that didn't run, nor did the blue. He's so cute. He really is cute. I want to keep him. But, you know, just those old stitches that we have. And of course, I don't remember stitching these things. Literally, I do not literally remember sitting and stitching them, but clearly I did. I remember the pieces, but the actual stitching time, I don't remember. So how many other things have we done that maybe we've gifted or we've packed away? And I know a lot of stitchers, I hear quite a few stitchers say, I'm going to put that in the box under the bed, or it's going to go wrapped up in a towel in the drawer. Some stitchers, I hear them say they stitch for the pleasure of stitching. And I understand that because going through this cancer journey that I've been on, I have really focused. I have to focus when I'm stitching. Otherwise I make mistakes, as evidenced by the unpicking when I'm watching videos. So there was also a very good article, and if I can figure out how to do it, it was posted in the Homespun Needlework group with regards to stitching and how therapeutic it is. And to me, stitching is anything. It's not just cross stitching. You're using a needle, whether you're sewing, quilting, embroidery, needlepoint, whatever it is, that plastic canvas, right? Something that you have to sit and focus on helps you hear, right? You're in the moment, you're in the present with what you're doing. And it's keeping those other intrusive thoughts at bay. It's been a journey. I had oncology follow-up Wednesday. I had radiology follow-up today. And everything is looking very good. And I said, but what now? Well, what do I do now? Who am I now that I have been diagnosed with cancer, had surgery, went through radiation? Who am I now? How do I find who I am now? Because clearly I am a different person, right? When we talk about our health, we have multiple dimensions of health. It's not just physical. My physical needs at Roswell Park were handled and taken care of immediately, right? But we have emotional, we have social, we have environmental, we have occupational, yes, we have physical, right? We have mental. How are all of these needs being met? And I'm not just talking for me as a cancer survivor. I'm talking for everybody. Where do you find your solace? How do you find your help? Are you getting the help that you need? Is it physical help you need? Is it environmental health? Are you living in an area like from the wildfires? How is that help? That's environmentally detrimental to you, right? People lost their homes. What about occupational health? Are you, do you need services? Maybe you had a frozen shoulder. Maybe you need some type of physical health along with occupational care. Are you able to hold your needle? Things like that. Are you working with arthritis? There's so many things. So what I'm learning for myself is it is okay to ask for help. To say to somebody, I don't know who I am right now. can you please help me find who I am? And I've heard that from a lot of people that experience any type of loss, and it could be a spousal, you lost your spouse, right? You suffered an illness, no matter what, anything major like that, you are not the same person coming out on the other end. You might look the same, maybe a little bit of physical changes, right? But you are not the same person that you were before your concern. So please, my friends, if you are experiencing anything that you feel you need help navigating, there are sources for you. Whether you need to call your physician and say, hey, right? Or you go to your senior citizen center. Maybe you're looking for just a group to hang out with, and your local senior center offers lunches. Okay? That's a social help for you just to get out of your house. There's Meals on Wheels. And you know what? I'm just pulling all of these things out of the top of my head here. But my point to you is, if you are feeling that you cannot navigate where you are right now, that you're in a fog, or you just don't know where to turn, please tell somebody that you are having difficulty finding what it is that you're looking for. I guarantee you somebody's going to be able to find services or help or something, whatever it is that you need. Maybe you need someone to come in and clean your house. Yes, please, because that gives me more time for stitching and sewing, right? Maybe that's what you need. Maybe you are struggling with arthritis and you're finding it a little difficult to clean your house. I still get on my hands and knees and wash my floors. Thank God I'm still able to do that, right? Are there other things that I could use, like a mop or something? Probably. But I was raised with, washing on the hands and knees and doing the baseboards and, complaining that your knees hurt, right? Washing windows. Whatever it is, friends, whatever it is, find somebody to talk to. Even if it's just in general conversation. I had conversation just the other day with somebody that was looking for something. And I said, you know what? I think I know of something you might be able to look at or find help with. And that's what it was. It was just sometimes when you're talking to somebody and it comes out in general conversation, they're like, oh, I didn't think of that. And it's fine. It's cool. It's good. It makes you feel good that you're helping somebody. One of the things that I have done lately is I have said, do a good deed every day. Do a kindness every day, no matter what it is. I sent a text today to a friend of mine who is not in a good place health-wise. And I know she had surgery this week, and I just sent her a text today. Did not expect a response at all. I sent her a text. I said, I am thinking of you. And I did receive a text back, and it wasn't very happy news. But little things like that. Show a kindness. Show a kindness. I have a lady that I work with, and she stitches, but she's not, she doesn't have as much time. And she had expressed to me, she's like, oh, I would love a project bag. And it was funny, she was cleaning things out. She found some fabric. She gave it to me. So what did I do? I made her a project bag out of the fabrics. And in my last video, I showed you that wooden needle case with my initial on it. I ordered one of those for her. Well, I took it into work, and unbeknownst to me, she had a car accident a week ago, because I only see her at work once a week. And I know exactly what she went through with her car accident, because when I was T-boned 2 years ago, the other driver literally ran the red light and T-boned me. I know exactly what she's going through. So she told me, she's like, you don't know how much this means to me today. Now, I had no idea. It wasn't discussed. Nobody said anything to me about it. But I felt, she gave me that fabric and I was like, you know what? I have to do something. And that's what it turned out to be. And she needed that kindness. And that's important. So let me leave you with this. You are worth having a good mental space in which you reside, okay? Physical, mental, social, environmental, emotional, occupational, all of those dimensions of health. Now they're on a continuum, and they're always going to be up and down. And I taught this when I was teaching at the college, right? They're always going to be up and down. You're going to have good days, you're going to have bad days, okay? But it's okay if you find that you need help in an area to help you to have more consistent good days. I am looking at it as I have set a goal for myself that every day I'm going to do a kindness for somebody. No matter whatever it turns out to be, I'm going to be kind. So I am hoping that my little chit chat with you today is kind, and that it has helped you take that next step that you might need to find what it is that you need to help make you happy or happier or to feel better. So with that, my friends, I say I'll see you in about a week. I'm hoping to have finishes in an upcoming video. I'm working really hard on those. They're piling up, my final finishes. So I wish you a very happy last day of February and a great beginning to your March. And I'm hoping to be back with you in another week, God willing. We'll see you then.